Ladies and gentlemen, every thought you entertain is either building your future or destroying it. Your mind is the control center of your life, and if you don't take charge of it, negative thinking will quietly take over and sabotage everything you dream of becoming. We often underestimate the power of thoughts. One negative thought can grow like a weed, choking confidence, stealing peace, and convincing you that you are not good enough. But here's the truth. Negative thinking is not a life sentence. It is a habit, and like any habit, it can be reprogrammed. The first step is awareness. Notice the voice in your head. What is it telling you every day? Is it whispering fear, doubt, comparison? The moment you become aware of these mental patterns, you take the power back. Because what you are aware of, you can change. The second step is replacement. Your brain cannot hold two opposing thoughts at the same time. When negativity appears, don't fight it with frustration. Replace it with a stronger, empowering thought. Instead of saying, I can't do this, tell yourself, I am learning, I am growing, I will figure it out. Slowly, the new thought becomes your default and negativity loses its grip. The third step is repetition. Just as negativity didn't appear overnight, positivity won't dominate in a single day. You must repeat new, empowering thoughts until they sink deep into your subconscious. Affirmations, gratitude, prayer, meditation. These are not just nice practices. They are tools to rewire your brain for resilience and success. Finally, remember this, your life cannot rise higher than your thoughts. If you want to build a better future, you must build a better mindset. Reprogram your mind daily, guard it fiercely, feed it truth, and never give negativity the permission to dictate your destiny. The world is already full of doubt and fear. Don't let your own mind add to it. Choose to think higher, choose to think better, choose to think victorious, because when you eliminate negative thinking for good, you don't just change your thoughts, you change your life. Everything you experience in life begins first in the unseen world of your thoughts. Long before you take action, long before you achieve or fail, long before others see what you've done, your mind has already drawn the blueprint. Your reality is not random. It is the reflection of the patterns, beliefs, and words that you repeatedly tell yourself every single day. Think about it for a moment. Two people can face the exact same challenge, yet respond completely differently. One sees only impossibility and gives up. The other sees an opportunity to grow and pushes forward. The challenge itself didn't change. It was the thought process that created two very different outcomes. The lens through which you think becomes the lens through which you live. If you constantly feed your mind with negative thoughts, you begin to create a negative life. Doubt, fear, and limitation become the boundaries that box you in. You stop dreaming big because your thoughts tell you it's impossible. You stop taking risks because your mind convinces you that failure is inevitable. Slowly, your world shrinks, not because reality demanded it, but because your thoughts designed it that way. On the other hand, when you choose to feed your mind with empowering, constructive thoughts, your life begins to expand. Confidence grows, possibilities open, and courage replaces fear. A person who thinks, I am capable, I can handle this, I will find a way, will take steps that someone trapped in self-doubt would never attempt. And those steps, taken again and again, shape a completely different future. The science behind this is fascinating. Modern neuroscience confirms that our brains are wired by repetition. The thoughts you dwell on literally carve pathways in your brain. When you think a thought repeatedly, neurons fire together, strengthening that pathway. Over time, it becomes the default route your mind takes. This is why people who constantly think negatively end up naturally expecting the worst. It's the path their brain has been programmed to travel. But here's the hope. Just as those pathways were created, new ones can be formed. By consciously feeding your mind with uplifting, faith-filled, and solution-oriented thoughts, you build new routes that make positivity natural and effortless. Look at the stories of the most successful people in the world. They didn't escape failure, and they weren't strangers to disappointment, but their thoughts about failure were different. Where one person might think, I failed, so I must not be good enough. They thought, I failed, which means I am learning, growing, and getting closer to success. That simple shift in thought created the persistence that carried them forward. Your thoughts also affect the energy you carry into the world. People can feel the difference between someone who walks into a room with confidence and someone who enters with insecurity. The energy you project comes from the beliefs you hold. If you think you are valuable, capable, and worthy, you carry yourself differently, and the world responds to you differently. Doors open, opportunities appear, and relationships deepen, not by accident, but because your thoughts shaped the way you showed up. It's important to understand that your reality is not only shaped by conscious thoughts, but also by the quiet beliefs you've absorbed over years. Maybe as a child you heard voices of limitation, you'll never be good enough, or people like us don't succeed. Those words planted thoughts, and those thoughts may still be shaping your reality today without you realizing it. The good news is that you are not locked into them. The moment you recognize those old beliefs, you gain the power to challenge them and replace them with truth. Imagine your mind like a garden. If you leave it unattended, weeds grow naturally. Those weeds are the negative thoughts, fear, doubt, insecurity, that spread quickly and steal the nutrients of growth. But if you plant good seeds intentionally, thoughts of courage, faith, determination, you begin to see beauty and fruit over time. The garden of your mind requires care, attention, and constant replanting of the right thoughts. Otherwise, negativity will always take over by default. When you understand that your thoughts shape your reality, you begin to see why it is so important to guard your inner world. Every time you repeat "I can't," you build a reality where you won't. Every time you say "I'm not good enough," you construct walls around your potential. But every time you affirm "I am capable," or "I will find a way," you are designing a reality where success is possible. The question is never whether thoughts shape reality. The question is, which reality are your thoughts shaping right now? You cannot change what you are unwilling to see. The very first step in eliminating negative thinking is awareness, becoming conscious of the thoughts that pass through your mind every single day. Most people live their lives on autopilot. They wake up, go through routines, and react to situations without ever realizing that their thoughts are quietly shaping their emotions, decisions, and future. Awareness is about breaking that cycle and finally taking a close look at what's happening inside your own head. Think about how often a thought crosses your mind without question. You make a mistake and instantly hear the voice, "I'm such a failure." Someone doesn't respond to your message and your mind whispers, "They must not like me." A challenge appears and your first thought is, "This is impossible." These thoughts might feel automatic, but they are not truth. They are patterns. And until you become aware of them, you will continue to mistake them for reality. Awareness shines a light on the hidden patterns that are controlling your life. Imagine being in a dark room with furniture scattered everywhere. You try to move forward but keep stumbling, tripping, and getting hurt. That's what life feels like when you're unaware of your negative thoughts. They trip you up at every turn. But when you switch on the light of awareness, suddenly you can see clearly. The obstacles are still there, but now you can move around them with intention. One of the most powerful practices for building awareness is to pause and observe your thoughts. Throughout your day, notice what your mind says in different situations. When you look in the mirror, what is the first thing you tell yourself? When you face a setback, what words automatically rise up? When you think about your future, do you imagine possibility or limitation? These small observations reveal the story you've been telling yourself for years. Journaling is another tool for awareness. Writing down your thoughts, especially during difficult moments, helps you see patterns that you might otherwise ignore. A repeated phrase might appear, "I can't," "I'm not enough," "it always goes wrong." When you see those words written on paper, you realize how much power you've been giving to thoughts that do not deserve to control your life. Awareness also requires honesty. Sometimes it's uncomfortable to face the reality of our own self-talk. It can feel easier to blame circumstances, people, or luck. But the real battle often lies inside. Being honest about the negativity in your mind is not about judging yourself, it's about freeing yourself. Because the moment you admit, "Yes, I've been telling myself I'm not worthy," or "I've been living in fear," that very moment you create the opportunity to shift. Another important aspect of awareness is recognizing triggers. Certain environments, people, or situations may bring out negativity more than others. Maybe criticism at work immediately sends you into self-doubt. Maybe scrolling through social media fills your mind with comparison. Maybe certain memories replay old wounds that create fear. By identifying your triggers, you begin to anticipate when negativity will strike, and instead of being blindsided, you prepare to respond differently. Awareness also reminds you that your thoughts are not facts. Just because your mind says I'm not good enough, it doesn't make it true. Just because you think this will never work, it doesn't mean it won't. A thought is simply a suggestion, not a command. Awareness helps you step back and observe the thought from a distance, instead of merging with it as if it were your identity. You begin to say, I notice I'm thinking I'm not capable, instead of I'm not capable. That small shift in language separates you from the thought and gives you room to choose a new one. The beauty of awareness is that it grows stronger the more you practice it. At first, you may only notice negative thoughts after they've already shaped your emotions. You might catch yourself feeling anxious or discouraged and only then realize what you were thinking. But over time, you begin to notice thoughts as they arise. In the very moment they appear, that's when you gain real power. Because if you can catch a negative thought at the doorway, you don't have to let it enter and take control. Remember this, awareness is not about perfection. Negative thoughts will still come. The goal is not to stop them from ever appearing. The goal is to recognize them quickly, shine a light on them and choose differently. Without awareness, you are a prisoner of your patterns. With awareness, you become the observer and director of your own mind. And once you see what's happening inside, you can never go back to living blindly under the weight of negativity. Once you've built awareness of your negative thinking, the next step is to replace it. Awareness alone is not enough. It's like identifying weeds in a garden. If you simply stare at them, they'll keep growing. You have to pull them out and plant something new in their place. The mind works the same way. You cannot simply stop negative thoughts by telling yourself not to think them. The real strategy is substitution, replacing destructive thoughts with empowering ones that guide you toward growth. Think of your mind as a constant conversation. It is never silent. From the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, your thoughts are shaping the way you feel and act. If you allow negativity to dominate that conversation, your confidence, energy, and joy will drain away. But if you choose to interrupt negativity and speak life into your own mind, you start reprogramming the dialogue inside your head. For example, when you face a challenge and your first thought is, "This is too hard, I can't do it," stop and notice it. Then, immediately replace it with, "This is difficult, but I'm capable of learning. I will figure it out step by step." The challenge hasn't changed, but the power of your response has. Over time, this replacement builds a new habit, and your default thought becomes one of possibility instead of defeat. One of the most practical tools for replacing negativity is using affirmations. An affirmation is simply a positive statement about who you are and who you are becoming. At first, it may feel strange to say, "I am strong, I am capable, I am worthy of success," especially if your mind has been rehearsing the opposite for years. But remember, the brain doesn't instantly reject repetition. It absorbs it. If you feed your mind empowering affirmations daily, eventually those words carve new pathways in your brain. What felt awkward at first becomes natural, and what becomes natural shapes your reality. Another powerful replacement strategy is gratitude. Negativity thrives on focusing on what's missing, what went wrong, or what you lack. Gratitude shifts your attention to what is already present, what has gone right, and what you already have. When you feel overwhelmed by thoughts like, "Nothing ever works out for me," pause and list 3 things you are grateful for in that moment. It might be as simple as, "I have breath in my lungs, I have food today, I have someone who cares about me." Gratitude interrupts the negative spiral and redirects your thoughts toward abundance. Faith and visualization are also key tools for replacement. Instead of dwelling on failure, picture yourself succeeding. Instead of saying, "I'll probably fail this exam," say, "I will prepare, I will focus, and I see myself walking out confident." The brain responds to images and emotion. When you visualize a positive outcome with conviction, your mind begins to align with that picture, and your actions follow. It's also important to realize that replacement is not about denial. You're not pretending that problems don't exist or that pain isn't real. You're not ignoring challenges. You're choosing to frame them in a way that gives you strength instead of weakness. If you lose a job, you could think, this is the end, I'll never recover. Or you could replace it with, this is difficult, but it's also an opportunity for me to find something better that aligns with my growth. The reality didn't vanish, but the way you think about it shifts everything. Another tool for replacement is questioning your negative thoughts. Often, negativity sounds convincing because it speaks with authority, but authority doesn't equal truth. When a thought arises like, I'm not good enough, challenge it. Who says I'm not good enough? Where's the proof? Haven't I succeeded before? Haven't I overcome challenges in the past? By questioning negativity, you weaken its power and create space for a stronger thought to take root. Surrounding yourself with empowering influences also helps replacement stick. The voices you hear every day shape the thoughts you believe. If you spend time around negative, critical people, their thoughts become yours. But if you immerse yourself in uplifting books, podcasts, communities, or friendships, you naturally find it easier to replace negativity with empowerment. It's not just about internal replacement, it's also about external reinforcement. Replacing negativity takes practice. At first, you may feel like you're correcting yourself dozens of times each day. That's normal. It's the same as training any muscle. The more you do it, the stronger it gets. Over time, you'll notice that negativity no longer controls you the way it once did. Instead of spiraling into fear or doubt, you'll instinctively reach for empowering thoughts. And when your thoughts shift, your emotions shift, your actions shift, and eventually your life shifts. Negativity may always try to knock on the door of your mind, but you get to decide who enters. With every replacement, fear with faith, doubt with determination, scarcity with gratitude, you are building a mental environment where positivity and growth can thrive. The weeds of negativity lose their power when you choose to plant seeds of empowerment again and again. The human mind is like fertile soil. It doesn't judge what you plant, it simply grows what you consistently sow. This is why repetition is so powerful. A single positive thought may inspire you for a moment, but repeated positive thoughts have the ability to rewire your brain and reshape your life. Just as negative patterns were formed by years of repeated self-doubt, empowering patterns are created through the daily repetition of truth, strength, and possibility. Think about how habits are formed. No one becomes addicted to negativity after a single thought. It happens slowly, almost invisibly, through repetition. Each time you tell yourself, I can't, the statement grows stronger. Each time you believe, I'm not worthy, that belief digs deeper roots. Over time, your mind becomes conditioned to accept these lies as normal. That's the power of repetition. Whatever you rehearse, you reinforce. The good news is that repetition can work in your favor. Neuroscience tells us that the brain is plastic. It changes, grows, and adapts throughout life. Every time you repeat a new empowering thought, you are creating new neural pathways. At first, the pathway feels weak, like walking through tall grass for the first time. But if you keep walking that same route again and again, the grass flattens, the path becomes clear, and eventually it feels like the natural way forward. That's how repetition reprograms your mind. It turns new choices into automatic responses. Consider affirmations. Saying I am capable once won't change much, but saying it every morning, every night, and every time doubt arises creates a new rhythm for your thoughts. Over weeks and months, your brain begins to recognize I am capable as truth rather than a wish. What was once uncomfortable becomes your new normal. Repetition transforms a fragile seed into an unshakable belief. Look at how athletes train. They don't practice a skill once and expect mastery. They repeat it thousands of times until it becomes second nature. A basketball player shoots the same shot again and again until muscle memory takes over. In the same way, you must train your mental muscles. Repeating empowering thoughts isn't about blind optimism. It's about developing mental reflexes that will carry you through pressure, challenges, and setbacks. Repetition is also the secret behind resilience. Life will always throw difficulties your way, and negativity will always try to creep back in. If your mind is untrained, you will default to fear, doubt, and insecurity. But if you've repeated empowering thoughts for months and years, your default will be strength. Instead of saying, "I can't handle this," you will automatically think, "I've been through hard things before, I will overcome this too." That shift doesn't come by chance, it comes by practice. Another reason repetition is so important is because the world is constantly repeating negativity to you. News headlines, social media comparisons, critical voices, all of these messages are repeated daily. If you don't create your own repetition of positivity, you'll be swept away by the repetition of negativity around you. This is why people who don't intentionally program their thoughts often find themselves stuck in cycles of fear and insecurity. They've been unconsciously repeating someone else's story instead of writing their own. Repetition also requires patience. Just as it took years for negative thinking to become automatic, it takes time for positive thinking to take root. You won't always see immediate results. Some days you'll repeat empowering thoughts and still feel weak. Some days you'll say, "I am worthy," and doubt will still whisper in your ear. That doesn't mean it isn't working. Think of a seed underground. It takes time before you see growth above the surface, but beneath the soil, change is happening. The same is true with repetition. Each time you choose empowering thoughts, you are watering the seed of a new reality. To make repetition more effective, tie it to daily habits. Say your affirmations while brushing your teeth. Practice gratitude before eating. Visualize your goals before bed. The more you connect empowering repetition to ordinary routines, the more effortlessly it integrates into your life. Soon, positivity isn't something you have to force. It becomes something you naturally live. One of the most underestimated aspects of repetition is consistency. It's not about what you do once in a while. It's about what you do every day. A single workout won't transform your body, but regular exercise creates change. A single empowering thought won't reprogram your mind, but daily repetition will. Small, consistent choices compound into massive transformation. Remember, the mind is always being programmed, either by default or by design. Repetition is the tool that shifts it from default negativity to intentional empowerment. Every time you repeat truth, you weaken the grip of lies. Every time you practice strength, you weaken the power of fear. And with enough repetition, the thoughts that once held you back lose all authority, and the empowering ones become your new identity. Your mind is the most valuable territory you will ever own. It is the space where dreams are planted, where beliefs are built, and where decisions are born. Yet too often, people leave this precious territory unguarded, allowing anything and everything to enter. If you want to eliminate negative thinking for good, you must learn to guard your mind every single day. Protection is not optional, it is essential. Think of your mind as a house. Would you leave your doors and windows wide open for strangers to walk in whenever they please? Of course not. You would lock your doors, secure your windows, and decide who is allowed inside. But when it comes to the mind, many people live with open doors, letting toxic voices, discouraging opinions, and negative influences enter freely. The result, confusion, self-doubt, and fear clutter the mental space. Guarding your mind is about locking the doors to anything that weakens you and choosing carefully what you allow inside. One of the most critical ways to guard your mind is to watch your inputs. Whatever you constantly consume becomes the background music of your life. The news you watch, the social media you scroll, the conversations you entertain, all of it is shaping your thoughts. If you constantly feed your mind with fear-filled messages, don't be surprised when anxiety becomes your default. If you surround yourself with gossip and negativity, don't be shocked when your own thinking becomes critical and harsh. Guarding your mind means being intentional about what you expose yourself to daily. This doesn't mean you isolate yourself from reality. It means you become selective. Just as you wouldn't eat spoiled food, you don't allow spoiled information to feed your thoughts. Ask yourself, is this helping me grow? Is this building my strength? Is this inspiring me toward my purpose? If the answer is no, you have every right to shut the door. Your peace and clarity are too valuable to be contaminated by meaningless noise. Guarding your mind also means protecting it from your own unchecked self-talk. Sometimes the most damaging voice isn't from the outside, it's the one inside your head. That voice that criticizes, compares, and condemns must be challenged. You wouldn't allow a stranger to stand in your living room and insult you all day. Why allow your own thoughts to do it? Part of guarding your mind is refusing to entertain inner narratives that are destructive. Instead, replace them with language that uplifts and strengthens you. Another layer of protection is found in the people you surround yourself with. Every person carries an atmosphere. Some people bring light, encouragement, and faith. Others bring heaviness, doubt, and fear. If you consistently spend time with people who drain you, you are allowing their atmosphere to shape your thinking. Guarding your mind doesn't mean cutting everyone off, but it does mean choosing wisely who has the greatest access to you. Seek out those who speak life, who believe in possibility, and who push you to grow. Their words will become part of your mental environment, and their energy will reinforce your strength. Daily routines can also act as guardrails for the mind. Meditation, prayer, journaling, and gratitude practices are like shields that protect your thoughts from being hijacked by negativity. Starting your day with intentional reflection is like setting a guard at the door of your mind. Instead of waking up and immediately absorbing the chaos of the world, you begin by centering yourself in peace and purpose. That simple discipline creates a filter that keeps negativity from rushing in uninvited. Guarding your mind also means being careful with your imagination. The mind is a powerful projector. It can create images of fear or images of hope. When left unguarded, imagination can run wild with worst-case scenarios, feeding anxiety and paralyzing action. But when guarded, imagination becomes a tool for vision and creativity. Instead of imagining failure, you imagine success. Instead of picturing defeat, you picture resilience. By guarding your imagination, you choose to project a future that inspires action instead of one that drains courage. It's important to understand that guarding your mind is not a one-time event. It's not something you do once and then forget. It's a daily discipline. Just as a soldier stands guard every night, you must stand watch over your thoughts every day. Negativity never takes a holiday. It will always try to creep in through subtle messages, casual words, or unguarded moments. That's why you must stay alert, checking in with yourself and reinforcing the boundaries that keep your mental space strong. Finally, guarding your mind daily requires commitment. It takes strength to turn off the voices that everyone else is listening to. It takes courage to say no when others expect you to agree with their negativity. But the reward is freedom. Freedom from the noise, the clutter, and the poison that so many live with unconsciously. When you guard your mind, you create a sanctuary inside yourself where peace, confidence, and clarity can thrive. And from that place of strength, you can face the world without being consumed by it. Every great achievement, every powerful transformation, every breakthrough in history began with one thing: mindset. Not resources, not circumstances, not luck. Mindset. The way you think sets the stage for everything else in your life. Your skills, your opportunities, even your relationships are shaped by the thoughts you consistently choose. If you want to know where your life is headed, look closely at your mindset, because your mindset is the compass that directs your destiny. Mindset is not just about what you think in one moment, it's the overall attitude you carry toward life. It's the lens through which you interpret challenges, opportunities, and setbacks. Two people can face the exact same obstacle, yet one sees it as a roadblock and quits, while the other sees it as a stepping stone and keeps going. The difference is not the obstacle, it's the mindset. The first person chooses a mindset of defeat and their destiny shrinks. The second chooses a mindset of growth and their destiny expands. This is why your thoughts are not just private, they are prophetic. They are constantly predicting and shaping where you will go. If your mindset says, "I am limited, I am unlucky, I'll never succeed," then your life will reflect those beliefs. You will unconsciously sabotage opportunities, avoid risks, and settle for less. But if your mindset says, "I am capable, I am resilient, I will find a way," then your actions, habits, and choices will align with that belief, and over time, your destiny will rise to meet your thoughts. Look at the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. A fixed mindset believes abilities and circumstances are permanent. This is just who I am. Things will never change. That belief becomes a cage, trapping a person in the same patterns year after year. A growth mindset, however, believes that skills can be developed, circumstances can be improved, and new paths can be created. That belief becomes fuel, driving a person to try, learn, and evolve. The destiny of someone with a fixed mindset and someone with a growth mindset will always be worlds apart. History is filled with examples of mindset shaping destiny. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. What kept him going? A mindset that saw failure not as the end, but as feedback. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, yet emerged with a mindset of reconciliation rather than bitterness, shaping not only his destiny, but an entire nation's. These were not people with perfect conditions, they were people with a mindset that refused to accept defeat. Their destiny was born in the way they thought long before the results were visible. Your mindset also determines the quality of your daily life. If you carry a mindset of gratitude, you find joy even in small things. If you carry a mindset of comparison, you live in constant frustration. If you carry a mindset of abundance, you see possibilities everywhere. If you carry a mindset of scarcity, you never feel enough. Destiny is not just the far-off future, it's also the daily experience of your thoughts becoming your reality. The connection between mindset and destiny is also deeply practical. Your mindset influences your habits create your actions shape your results, and your results repeated over time define your destiny. It all starts in the mind. That's why guarding, replacing, and repeating positive thoughts are not just nice practices. They are the very foundation of your future. If your thoughts change, your habits change. If your habits change, your results change. And when your results change, your destiny is rewritten. It's important to understand that mindset is a choice. You may not choose every circumstance in life, but you do choose how you think about it. You may not control every setback, but you control whether you see it as defeat or as a lesson. You may not control who walks out of your life, but you control whether you label yourself abandoned or resilient. Your mindset in those moments becomes the deciding factor in how your story unfolds. Mindset also determines how far you dare to dream. A small mindset says, stay safe, stay comfortable, don't take risks. That mindset creates a destiny of regret and missed potential. A bold mindset says, step forward, take the chance, trust the process. That mindset leads to a destiny of growth, courage, and fulfillment. The dreams you allow yourself to believe in will become the reality you eventually live. This is why it is so important to protect, train, and strengthen your mindset. If your mindset is weak, your destiny will drift. If your mindset is strong, your destiny will rise. Every day, you are writing your future not with your circumstances, but with your thoughts. Your destiny is not written in the stars. It's written in your mind. And the story you choose to believe about yourself today will determine the life you live tomorrow.